quick fun fact of lithium, back in the 1930s, you actually had lithium in 7-Up, which is kind of odd thing to know, but I don't think anybody has that in the 7-Up today. But so Lithium X created back in the summer of 2015. Our CEO, Brian Price-Braga, he met up with a famous financier in town here, Frank Justra. They talked about what is the next upcoming resource, what can we do here, and they looked at lithium. And lithium is something that has been in the news a lot over the past number of kind of months, the past year and a bit. And what we found was that there wasn't a real pure play lithium company at that time. So there's companies where you could get exposure into lithium, the bigger companies, SQM, Albemarle, FMC, billions in market cap, but they only had a very small component of their value in lithium, let's say 12, 15%. So Brian and Frank decided to start up Lithium X, focus purely on lithium assets, and go out there and, as Keith mentioned, try to find things for a good deal and find the best-in-class management team. So Lithium X became public back in November of 2015, not even a year old, still quite a young company. Our original private placement was done at 15 cents. Today it was trading at a little over $2. Right now, the market cap around 150 million, with only really about 66 million shares outstanding, 73 million fully diluted. We see this as still a very young lithium company, but with a lot of potential for growth in the stock. We look at a lot of our competitors that have very similar assets than we have, assets that have high milligrams per liter, in addition to very low magnesium content. So looking at our stock today, we still see a lot of room for growth. We've had great success in the markets over the last little bit here since we started back in November 2015, but we still see tremendous room for growth, and I'll talk a little bit about the asset and a little bit about the management team today. One of the things that when Frank and Brian got together, they said, look, if we want to build a pure play lithium company, this has to be done right. And to get things done right, it's not just the asset, it's the management team. And they thought about who can we bring to the table and who can really, find, he's got an uncanny ability to find resource assets and really capitalize and give shareholder value, and that name was Paul Matizik. Paul came on board very shortly after we went public. He combined, over the last 30 years, he's worked on a number of different companies, provided shareholder value and exits just under $3 billion over the last decade. One of the companies was in the lithium space called Lithium One. He also worked on energy metals, Uranium One, and most recently he sold Gold Rock. So Paul, a complete stud in our opinion when it comes to finding a resource and finding an asset and actually capitalizing that and building that shareholder value. So we brought Paul on board. Brian, as I mentioned before, our founder and CEO, he's been in the markets for a number of years. Myself as CFO, previous Deloitte Touche background, more on the number crunching side of things. And then Fiore Advisory is where Frank and Gord Keep came on board, and they basically work on the back end and keeping everything right from a regulatory perspective, et cetera. And then more recently, we brought on a guy that we got really lucky on this one, Eduardo Morales. He brought his guy, Andreas, with him. Eduardo actually has over 36 years experience in the lithium space, which, that alone, you can't really find too many of these people out in this kind of niche industry where we are today. So very happy to have him on board. And one of his claim to fame is he was the president of Latin America for Rockwood Lithium that was sold to Albemarle in 2014 for over $6 billion. So he knows everything from cradle to grave. He knows how to look at the chemistry. He knows the construction side. He knows the engineering side. He can get the offtake. So very happy to have Eduardo on the team to very much help build this company. And then we have Will Randall, who's our Vice President of Project Development. He's Argentine background. He brought a bunch of the assets to the forefront. He worked on a number of these assets back in 2014, spent a bunch of money on drilling, so he's definitely another very good addition to the team. The quote here from Goldman Sachs has been rolling around a bunch of lithium presentations for quite a while right now, but it still kind of holds true. What if I told you lithium is the new gasoline? Dan talked about clean tech and oil and gas, and lithium is such a small component. Probably in a day or two, you got oil and gas trades, you got more money flowing in the market than all of lithium together. But lithium is becoming a major player. Just recently, I heard a stat that we have now 400 parts per million of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, something that will never shrink. It's going to continuously be there. And to do something different, climate change, cities are getting behind it, corporations are getting behind it. Cities are talking about clean tech by 2020, 2030, and we're finding this significant increase in demand for lithium. Right now, you hear on a day-to-day basis, they're coming out with new technology. They're talking obviously about Tesla. GM just came out and talked about a joint venture with the US Army for a lithium-powered vehicle. Mercedes has been talking about spending $4 billion in the next kind of 2 to 3 years on electric vehicle technology. So, we know it's there, and it's something that when I talk to a lot of institutions, they talk about, well, what do we need in our portfolio? And they might not understand lithium to the great extent, but they do say we need to have lithium in the portfolio because it is something that isn't going away. It's going to continue. Currently, the global lithium supply is in Nevada, in South America, Australia, and China, where our 2 assets are located in Clayton Valley, Nevada, and in Argentina. Our core asset in Argentina is a salar out there in the north, in the province of Salta. Right now, we own 50% of that asset. We paid $8 million of 8 million common shares for that asset to get 50%, with an option to get another 30% over the next 2 years. And for that, we have to pay only $5 million in shares of Lithium X, and we have to expend about $3 million in expenditure commitment, as well as perform a feasibility study. So that's well underway. If you look at kind of with the surrounding salars that are within our reach, Orocobre, they obviously have quite a big footprint, and they are in production. Right now, our asset, we've spent about $17.5 million to date on that asset, not as Lithium X, but as the previous owner of that asset. So we're working on a current resource report that we just recently submitted out to the market that shows about 1 million lithium carbonate equivalent tons in measured and indicated and in inferred. So definitely something that we're going to continue working on. We have one thing that's a little bit unique to a lot of these other lithium companies that are out in the venture. I believe there's about over 80 of them now. But we are starting a pilot plant within our asset in Argentina. That's going to be 2,500 tons. We're working on permitting, and we should have some news out shortly in terms of our permitting and moving forward. We've got a joint venture with an Argentine-based company that has built other ponds within the area. They built Orocobre ponds, so we're working with them, and we're going to be doing a joint venture for kind of a 50-50 stake in a very small part of the salar, but something that will give us the ability to start producing and actually selling lithium. The resource is actually quite high grade as well in Argentina, and the kind of lithium triangle. If you look at the kind of the milligrams per liter, there's been as high as 790 milligrams per liter. So very, very high. You can see on this graph, the red zones are the high zones, and that's a graph of the salar. So definitely from the perspective of battery grade lithium, we have it within this salar. The other asset that we have is out in Clayton Valley. This asset is adjacent to one of the biggest lithium companies in the world, Albemarle. So we currently have right now a fairly large land package out in Clayton Valley. We have about 15,000 acres, and as you can see in that graph, Albemarle is sitting in the blue, and then we're in the red kind of surrounding it. So we're working right now on drilling that asset. There's been drilling that's commenced, and we should have some more news out in the near future here, but definitely looking to expand on that asset as well. In the short term, it'll be likely in Argentina because we can develop ponds and do the 2,500 tons quite quickly. And then the next step would be Clayton Valley, and also looking for other lithium projects. So 34 seconds left. In terms of, I welcome anybody to contact us anytime. We're here in Vancouver, head office, can call me. My email is dan@lithium-x.com. We also have our investor relations guys, Mario at lithiumx.com. So by all means, talk to us, call us for any further questions, anything that you might have in the industry kind of questions, but definitely looking to be out there for the next number of years here and building a pure play lithium company. So hope to either hear from you or see you on the bid.